Okay, today is our subject. Uh, what is Monroe? What is the Monroe course? And what is the benefit? And what things involved to do this? Very much about that. So that means any of you, those new, never done Monroe before, but maybe you have ideas, still type of ideas. Need to clarify. This is opportunity today. The whole class. Most of time, uh, question and answer. And those already people think they know what is Monroe, what is the benefits, but still you can know more about every aspect, many aspects, not just one aspect. So that also is opportunity. So you had a few weeks to prepare that. So I hope you prepared already. So what I want to talk about today is what is Monroe means in general, and with examples, with analogies, and then what is in general traditionally how present and how people take on. But we not live with that, and we hope we can do better than what used to do. Why we think we can do better than what used to do? It is not about we are arrogant and we have too much pride, but instead this age, information age, and in this century people spend a lot of time for education, a lot of time, energy, and money. So that means we are meant to be smarter than the tradition people. But whether we are as smart or not, we can experiment with this Monroe practice. If we can do more aspects than the traditionally how present and how take on, that means if we can understand more aspects of tengondo. And when we practice, we can have more skillful means how to practice. And if we have more multiple ways of to reach the goal, and we have multiple ways to eliminate the obstacles. If we can have that, that means yes, we are smart. Yes, we are more educated. So our education many years is useful for this foundation, for foundation for the mono practice. But if we didn't, all the way of the scientific discoveries, centuries of the scientific discovery and the progress, the education system and everything is useful or not depend how we are smart to use for base for this mode of practice. So that's I'm thinking. So Ngondro means preliminary practice. So that means what preliminary for? First, we have to recognize that. Preliminary of the Vajrayana path, actual Vajrayana path for enlightenment. In this case, preliminaries for the Kalachakra path of the fully enlightened, the fully Buddhahood, the fully omniscienthood, the fully omnipresent path. So that. So maybe also you can question yourself, say, why we need enlightenment? Why we have to become omniscient? The very, 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 very simple answer, simple way of answer is, I mean, there's many ways to answer, but the simple way of answer, the most simple way of answer is, nobody wishes to suffer. Nobody copes the levels of suffering. However, is there any way of limiting the suffering and the propensities of suffering without to reach the omniscienthood, the Buddhahood? The answer is no. Absolutely no. But the details we don't have time to today. Okay? So today we just have to understand no. For that reason, we need the Vajrayana path to be meaningful for our life, to be meaningful for our rebirth. Regardless, doesn't matter who you are, as long as you not wishing to suffer. Not only that, as long as you not wishing to be ignorant, as long as you wish to eliminate all ignorance and the propensity of ignorance, then yes, this is the only way. Only way to actual Kalachakra practice, the only way you have to prepare preliminaries. That means it's very simple. If we have to build a house, we have to prepare everything, the material and land, everything, otherwise it never happen. Even if you missed one causes or condition for house, then never happens. The same thing, if you want anything, let's say if you want to have a baby, also same thing, you need all the conditions. One missing, then no possible. So all of them is same thing for the same role for everything. So preliminary, you have to understand this way. So that's why it's absolutely necessary have the moon board. Having said that, there's something maybe we need to discuss about. Because I heard some people have idea, oh, if Monroe is a huge commitment, huge risk to take all this. So that is absolutely wrong. Either you took that way or someone present that way, either way, that is not the case. This is not true. So what you have to understand is, this is only opportunity. There is almost zero presenting Kalachakra preliminary, almost zero in this world. That's why it's a rare opportunity, but not obligation, not duty, and not commitment. It's not even a responsibility to start to finish. It's completely voluntary, is up to you. You want to start and complete, or you want go half the way, or you want a little bit and drop. That's everybody's individual choices. Because people have some ideas of, if I start and then if I'm not finished, then I have some kind of like punishment. Punishment. Punish from the God, punish from the Buddha, punish from the karma. Not all of them. You not promise anything, you not sign up anything. Okay? You not sign up anything to be finished, to be complete, or to be success. Anything. You only interested in opportunity. And you only sign for, oh, yeah, I'm interested. You sign for only that. You sign for only, yes, I would like to take experiment as an opportunity. That's all. So that's how I would say. I hope that's clear, but then we can clarify later on question and answer. So now I want to very briefly present the each model subject. What for? I'm not talking about the details today. I'm only tell what for, what you could do. When we presenting the model, the 4 convictions of renunciation, or 4 renunciation thoughts, 4 thoughts of renunciation, or whatever people, different names, it doesn't matter. Same meaning. When talking about that, traditionally talk about first beginning, talk about pursues human birth. So I ordered first talk about the karma. Why I talk about karma first? Because first thing you want to know is all fortune, unfortunate, successful, failure, all of them, where they come from. You know, we all know there's obvious cause and condition we know, but there's subtle cause and conditions we don't know, nobody know. Even scientists don't know, nobody know. The answer is karma. So therefore, we talk about karma. So that means without knowing the karma, nobody in this earth, nobody have answer for this. Even there is some answers, but it's not satisfactory answer, which means not indefeatable answer. Therefore, we talk about karma. So karma means cause and effect. In another way, the cause and effect in individuals, in individual life, and we share in karma together. That is the answer. So to knowing this is you have more answer. This is actually real education. You know, this is the most important education. Because all our mistakes come from is not knowing, something ignorance causes. The other mistakes always come from we don't know how to take opportunity, the challenges that come in our life. So that is, if you learn this about karma properly, that helps you incredibly. That's why we need this learn. Why? Because everything is interdependent. But the levels of interdependent you can find out from the karma subject. That's why incredible details talk about in my book. Second one, I put as the nature of the samsara. Nature of samsara means the interdependent, beginningless, endless recycling. What is nature? If we don't understand the nature, then we have always have false expectations, and we have a wrong, how do you say, conclusions and many things. So that is the root of our challenge in our life. The root of our suffering, basically. So everybody do things eliminate suffering is you only treating the symptoms, but if you want to eliminate the root, then you have to know this. There is no other way. So that's why we talk about details in one course. And then after that, I talk about pursuit human birth. Why? Because your human birth is become a pursuit or not a dependent on this knowledge and awareness and the mindfulness you can build. We thought all of them, every human birth is not precious. Worse than animal, worse than other creatures, if you live with ignorance. So that's why I talk. So that means if you know how to take the opportunity, then this birth, human birth, is the most precious. That's why we need to know the details. And then I talk about impermanent. Impermanent in general. Why? Because all our disappointments and sadness and incredible things, because we not learn and we don't have the awareness of impermanence. But not only that reason, but also we waste so much our precious human birth, and we spend so much time and energy for silly things, like why? Because we don't understand the urgency and why and how to take. So if we learned that, then we know. Not only that, but also we know in general, people scared to die, of course, extremely scared. So don't want to talk about. That means we have so much education to live, but we don't have zero education how to die. That means how you take the opportunity of the greatest opportunity, the death. So that's why this impermanent subject is not the completion of education for that, but is starting point. So that's why we talk about that. So then is finished or external preliminaries. So then we have usually have 5 more internal focus. 5 preliminaries, and then Kalachakra have another 2 preliminaries, very unique 2 special high preliminaries. Total 7 we have this. So enter this stage. You don't have to be Buddhist or anything. Anybody as long as you are human is useful to study all of them. You don't have to even believe Buddha or anything, because this is all reflection of the facts. But from now on, maybe you have to be Buddhist from the inner preliminary practices. Either you are Buddhist or you interest experiment to Buddhism. At least You have to be that. Also, to be Buddhist, you can measure in many ways, but the most simplest, Buddhism makes more sense than any other religion or science or anything. For you, that means you are basic Buddhist. That's the most basic. So, therefore, first one we call a refuge, Buddha Dharma Sangha, or we call refugee three jewels. What traditionally do, they explain you those little bit, but often people fall, 100,000 prostrations and 100,000 refugee recitation. So people falling into that. That means is nothing wrong to falling into this. Definitely you have benefits. However, it is more focusing quantity rather than quality. More focusing little rather than wide expect. Uh, wide view, okay? More narrow focus rather than every aspect. So we hope we can focus every aspect. We can focus we can understand every angle. That is the target, this course. That means, do you have to count the 100,000 prostration? No, the answer is not necessary. If you feel that's very necessary, if you feel this one you for more comfortable and more interested, then why not? Otherwise, instead, we do narrow focus. Instead, we can understand the aspects, many aspects and different angles. Then is more useful than, much more useful than you physically, verbally done 100,000 recitations and 100,000 prostrations. Okay? So that means I want to give everyone opportunity to understand the every angle. Is it up to you? I'm not saying you don't do 100,000 prostration. I'm not saying you don't do. I'm not saying you must do. I give you the options. Then you can decide. So that means the short version, we focus quality rather than quantity. We focus every aspect, every angle rather than narrow angle. Okay? So that means if I explain very little experiment, taking refuge means what the most important is the essence. The essence is only two. To understand the absolute Buddha and the relative Buddha. The absolute Buddha means is within yourself, within everybody, is pervasive, something we already own. We only need unveil. You have to understand that. If you understand this, then you have incredible confidence for anything more than any other method. The other one is you have to understand what relative Buddha means. That means our historical Buddha, not one single person, but the quality of anybody can possess. All the qualities we can inspire, something we all have a potential. That's the essence of the refuge. It's not about you done this ritual, you change the name. Huh? It's not about that. You promised something. That's not the essence. The essence is you develop incredible confidence and inspiration. Okay, that's the refugee subject. Second one is bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means you develop incredible quality, fearlessness, compassion quality. It's not about the sadness of the compassion because others so suffering and sad. It's not about that. It's more fearlessness compassion. Okay? So please believe me, every single person, human being, the fear is our challenge in every aspect of life, especially death. Especially we have lack of compassion and caring others and selfishness, self-centered, all come from is lack of fearlessness. So bodhicitta, the essence of bodhicitta is that. Who don't want that? Nobody on this earth, I'm sure, who don't want fearlessness. Fearlessness, the courage. So that about that. It's not about how many numbers. That's not the essence. The third is about purification. Purification of the real obstacles, which means the hidden obstacles of purification. When we talk about this, then again, traditionally think, 100,000, 100-syllable mantra, visualization, Vajrasarva, all stuff. But those is one figment of the practice. That means one choice of one aspect of the practice. So people just fall into this and forget all other aspects. That's what I'm saying. So if we really want smart and skillful means, we not only fall into this quantity, but you understand all aspects, which means if I want to tell you one more, what means every aspect of our life challenges, you know how to use a purification of your our unfortunate negative karmas. We know how to use eliminating the obstacles. This is a real purification, you know. The Vajrasara mantra or these things maybe helps, but it's not the essential. The essential is how you understand from your heart with this value, and you know how to use. This is about Vajrasara practice, purification. Especially the obstacles of the Kala, Akshara Kala Chakra realization, or the 6 yogas realization, you eliminate those. That means at the same time, you eliminated our normal life challenges. Okay? The normal life challenges already have it, becomes our purification process. And the welcoming ones, you will eliminate. So means that. And then the next subject is mandala offering. Of course, again, traditionally we think, oh, mandala, then how to make the mandala, how look like the mandala, and then how we do it, and many, many instructions and diagrams, oh, I have to do this, and people are very, very stressed about this, and oh, this also have to done 100,000 times. But again, you missed the point. Is not about that physical instructions and physical activities, not the essence. The essence is how you are skillful. Every aspect of your life becomes accumulation merit. You may think, oh, why we need accumulation merit? You maybe don't understand merit, what it means, merit. Merit means a propensity of any goodness. Anything goodness happens, you know, a great enjoy life or incredible progress of the enlightened path, all of them rely on merit. Not only that, but when you are reach Buddhahood, endless, innumerable manifestations of you liberating sentient beings also about the merits you accumulated. So the mandala offering shows one way how to accumulate merits. So if we be smart, then we have to understand every aspect of how to accumulate merit in every our life aspects. You can use it for that. How smart that. That is we hope we can learn in this course. And then the fifth one is Guru Yoga practice. Again, the traditionally how present, just in Guru Yoga, some text and chant, and then we chant, and you know, This chant is nothing wrong. All of them good, nothing wrong traditionally ones. What means, what means they are godlands, but they cannot make millions of godlands. So, a few godlands for to be skillful, but then when we have limited wisdom, we just fall into one godland, and then we fall into a quantity rather than quality. So that's the problem. But what does means Guru Yoga? The meaning is, the simple way of meaning is how you build incredible, incomparable, valuable relationship with a human to human. Something normal human beings don't know how to. You're doing this. This is one essence. The other essence I want to say, how you realize your spiritual teacher is a representation of all enlightened beings. Or you can say, how you realize your teacher is an embodiment of all Buddhas. The way of realization of this, or way of process of that. So that means even you didn't fully realize that, but every process is incredible, valuable, and spiritual path, especially the Vajrayana, are like key to the door. So you're going to learn that. That means if you understand Guru Yoga, even you can improve normal relationship. Definitely you can improve, and you become much more so skillful for that. So who don't want that? That's why I'm saying, if we know how to focus the essence, if we know the essence and the other aspects, then it's a million times better than we focus quantity. So that means our time and energy and commitments you can put on that to try to understand the essence and different aspects, rather than stuck one guideline. So that is the normal 5 preliminaries. And then Kalachakras, the unique preliminary, first one is the generation practice. Generation practice in every other school and every other tradition is actual Tantrayana practice. But here, they count as unique preliminary. Why? Because the 6 yogas incredibly higher than any other practices. That's why they becomes falling into the preliminary. The second preliminary is 3 oscillation practice. So that's very similar of the first yoga, but it's preparation. So that's I'm talking. today. So if you have any questions, you are very, very welcome. Any silly question, any, don't be, uh, don't be scared, don't be shy. Any question related with this, you most welcome. Okay.
It is 8:30.
Oh, much longer than I thought.
Rinpoche, I'm a complete beginner. Can I take the course? Beginner to Buddhism.
Yes, of course, you can take the course. That's what I said at the beginning. You know, anybody can take the course. Even you're scared, oh, I cannot finish. If you cannot finish, that's just your lost, but it's not, you haven't made any extra, bad karma or anything at all. You didn't even broke any promise. It's just you lost opportunity, that's all.
What's the difference? What's the benefit of studying the Kala Chakra Nondro over a different Nondro? There's a lot of different preliminary practices and lineage options. Why would I choose Kala Chakra?
You choose Kala Chakra is if you interest in golden age, if you interested to deliberate our world, then definitely you should take Kala Chakra. And then if you interested reborn Pure Land, then is Shambhala Pure Land is the most easy connection. Other than that, you don't have to take Kala Chakra path. One thing I want to point out is if anybody is perfect practitioner, then you don't have to take any Kala Chakra, any other highest yoga tantra is equally benefits. But usually we like to Kala Chakra because Kala Chakra is much more clear presented, much more less confused. And especially I made huge effort to this path even more clear. So that's the only reason. So that means if somebody, let's say there is some machine do the same job, but one is much more easier to use, while other one is very, very complicated and dangerous a little bit if it's complicated. Then of course you use even the same job, you use the easy one, you use the less dangerous one. It's like that. That machine itself, there is same quality and same goal, same achievement, but the process is less complicated, like that.
So Rinpoche, what root texts will we rely on to do this Nondro?
The root text traditionally we have only the Jonang Mundo practice, and then I have a commentary, the words by words commentary, and then I have a detailed commentary. So yeah, the information is not locked, definitely.
Rinpoche's book is available in the Dzogchen store. So he does have the Profound Path of Vajra Yoga, has the Divine Ladder, which we'll be using, and also his commentary, The Hidden Treasure.
And then detailed commentary,
and then even further details commentary, Unveiling Your Sacred Truth. So there's extensive information.
Yeah, people using that non-books. Some languages are using non-books. We have a huge 3 books, and also Shambhala book and Rime book. All of them are related to each other. Yeah. Nobody have more than I'm pretty sure nobody have more information than that in modern language.
So Rinpoche, I'm excited about the talk today because I'm facing this problem. I'm already doing a preliminary, but focused on all the numbers. I am interested in the Kala Chakra path, but I'm afraid it's too much pressure to do 2 Nondros. Can you give advice on this?
You don't have to do 2 Nondros. Taking the Ngondro practice is also have to remember, everybody have to remember, should not be life burdening. It should not be burden. It should be is releasing your life pressures. Is should take as liberating tools, not take as a burden. So that means you don't need focus 2 Ngondros. You can focus 1 Ngondro, do the same job. Usually people think that is wrong, like that's wrong. Oh, I have already husband, then I taken, somebody else, and then people think that way, but it's not that way. Is like how you say, if you have 2 cars, which one you want to use, you can use only one. You don't have to use both same time. And also the car not going to jealous if you use the other car. The same thing, which Ngondro ever Ngondro you focus, there should not be the other Lama or the other lineage or tradition. They should not be upset or jealous, because if they're interested in your liberation. If they're not interested in your liberation and interested in something else, then yes, you have complication. But whoever interested only your liberation, it doesn't matter which model you use.
Okay, Rinpoche, I understand that practice is important, and it's more important to understand the essence. But how long does it take to practice the Nondro? Because I also have to work.
How long take is depend on individual. We're not focusing on quantity, quality. Somebody can take understand overnight. Some people can take maybe weeks. Some people take months. Some people take years. But doesn't matter. Or is as long as our progress doesn't matter. The not important the speed. The important is direction.
Rinpoche, if we enter the Kala Chakra path and receive the empowerment, and we have other Anuttara Yoga commitments, do we have to practice all of them each day? And can we later switch to Guhya Samaja?
Okay. I tell you on only my way. If you don't like in my way, you don't have to follow. I have received many empowerment of Myanmar tradition and then Kajit, some, and Sakya little bit, and Geluk little bit. All of them, I promised, took Samaya. Do I practice every day? All of them? No. The answer is no. I focus only Kalachakra. Why? Because I see is everybody's same goal. They say, oh, you take Samaya means only for your liberation. Not they want something. Not Guru Samaya wants something. Not, Charasambhara wants something. It's not about the deity, not about the lineage, not about the Lama. Everybody, Lama and deity and lineage, their number one interest in your liberation. If you liberate with something else, they should be very happy, more than happy. They shouldn't have any conflicts. That's why I don't. I have zero doubt. I tell you why, because one example. One of the incredible Indian master coming to Tibet, and then one of the Tibetan master tell what we do, how they understand Tantra and everything. And then Indian master say, oh, you guys so good, and you guys so good, and you understand everything. I didn't even need to come to Tibet. But then later on, oh, how you practice? When you practice, how do you practice? Then say, oh, at this time and morning I go there and this deity and practice. And then I go this deity and then practice. Then I go this deity and then practice. Then the Indian master said, oh, definitely I needed to come here. So that means you're doing wrong. Huh? Because you treated like jealous, limited a human being. You know, oh, I promise this one, I have to do this for you. Oh, yeah, I promise I cook for you. Oh, I did promise this wash for you. I did this, this. That's we doing a lot more human being way. That's not the path of enlightenment. Enlightenment only interests your liberation. Doesn't matter how you liberate, which one you practice. The only difference is if you follow Kalachakra path, I can facilitate you. But if you not interested in Kalachakra, you something else practice, I can't facilitate you. But I'm more than happy if you happy with that. I have no jealous, you know. So is everybody should be same like that. If it's not, then is something is not totally right.
Rinpoche, should the Nondro be practiced for a lifetime, or is there a point where we can stop?
So there is two ways. Some people, each Nondro practice until they have accomplishment, accomplishment, not number, accomplishment, their realization or attainment. Until then, they don't practice any other. But that's long time ago. So that is golden age time. So right now, nobody doing this. Everybody doing practice as much as they can, and then they move next. So do like that way. So usually take only 3 months. I mean, full-time practitioners. But if the people have to do work and many job and those things, of course, you take a little bit longer. Yeah.
Rinpoche, I'm planning to attend the Kala Chakra Empowerment in June. But do I need to receive the empowerment first before I can start the Nondro? Or do I need to wait for something else?
No, you don't need, so that's why we present it now. Anybody can start from tomorrow, tonight. Anybody can start Ngondo. That's also, I think, a misunderstanding. Some people maybe mispresentation. Any Ngondo also you need empowerment. That's not the right. I mean, if you have empowerment, any tradition, any tantra, that is already good for your practice. But if you don't have that, you don't need it because this is a preliminary practice, not actual practice. The actual practice, you need empowerment. That's all.
This confusion may come from our website. Our website has some suggested practices that you can choose to do around different times of the moon, but they're not required, they're just inspiration. But the question is it better to practice Kala Chakra every day or to follow the practices according to the phases of the moon?
Every day is much better.
Rinpoche, what are the samayas connected to this practice? Are they the same as other Nondros, or are there specific ones related to these preliminaries?
Nondros doesn't have samayas. Samayas only we taken and receive empowerment. When you receive empowerment, samayas also people have a very misunderstanding because they think is, oh, we promise something, that means we sign something. If we don't be careful sign, then we have later trouble. You know, you sign something with the company, they trick you something. So if you didn't know the trick, then you sign something, you're going to wrong something later on, you have problems. Same, people think the same way, but this is an unconditional Buddha to lead in you liberation. It's not about a company tricking you, company or politician or anybody tricking you some make science, okay? So you have to think different way. The samayas means you are building inspiration and commitments to practice for your own benefits. But if you break, if you lose your commitments, you still can build again. It's not about punishment. That's also sometimes presented a little bit wrong way. Wrong way is only punishment or bad consequences, And you forgot the good consequences. Too interested. You forgot about the good consequences of experiment. Even there's good consequences to fail. Every fail, you have learned something. But people forgotten that and only think in the negative way. So that answer is preliminaries. You don't need a smile.
Rinpoche, is it possible to start this Nondro without first taking refuge formally with a Lama?
That's why I said before, the 4 convictions you study those and reflect on all these things, contemplating. You don't need even a Buddhist, okay? And then after you reach the refuge, I said, real refuge is built from your heart, not about the ceremony and name. The ceremony and name, all these things, just ritual. So one of the aspects, if you like, you can take. But you can take later or anytime. The real refugee is something coming in your heart and your feelings and your understanding.
Rinpoche, if I've completed a Nondro in another lineage, is it possible to just jump straight away into the Kala Chakra practice?
Not the actual practice. You still have to go through the preliminaries, but it definitely helps you a lot if you done the others. Help you a lot means you are much more faster. The speed definitely helps.
For those that are new, we have some information on the website about this. When Rinpoche talks about doing the preliminaries, it's not the numbers. So he has several different ways of looking at that. I'll put the link under the video after the teaching. Rinpoche, is the Janong preliminary practices the same as all common preliminary practices?
Yeah, very similar. The subject the same. The only difference is deity or prayer, or the subject the same. Subject same as Nyama, same as Sakya, same as Kagi.
Rinpoche, can you explain more about the unique preliminaries to Kala Chakra, the innate Kala Chakra practice, and the winsome?
The unique preliminaries that one is the generation practice. Generation practice, many traditions they use in as actual practice. For instance, even basically the other traditions, they don't have a huge extensive completion practice. Mostly they're using the generation practice. In Jonaba instead, the generation practice a very simple way, taken a very simple way. That is a net Kalachara practice. So this one is, I think, unnecessary to explain too much. Until we have empowerment, we no need. Yeah, the other the three oscillation, I would say, if you guys are familiar with Dzogchen, similar of Dzogchen, similar of Mahamudra.
Rinpoche, your books give different guidelines for each of the practices. I spend a lot of time painting tonkas and consider this merit making. Can I include this in the time for the mandala practice?
Mm-hmm. Mandala.
Can they count that as their mandala practice?
Of course, you can, especially if you paint in this the Kalachakra and Munro images. It is more relevant. Paint very Shambhala Pure Land.
Rinpoche, in the course, will you be teaching us how we can practice the Nondro in our daily life through our own living with our 5 aggregates?
What do you say, second?
They want to know if in the class you're going to teach them how to practice Kala Chakra in their daily life.
Not doing formal practice.
Not sitting formally and doing a practice, but like how to do it while living.
Munro practice, yes.
Yeah.
course.
So Rinpoche, if you compare other highest yoga practices, what are the superiorities of Kala Chakra? And are there any special requirements to practice it?
The superior is the essence is the same, but then the details, the preservation of the Kala Chakra 6 yogas much more preserved. So that only Jonam tradition preserved, the others didn't. So that's only reason. So that's why it's not about come from Buddha is something different. Maybe not. May is possible because Kala Chakra taught for the Shambhala Karkis, which means the Shambhala Dharmakins, which means like a 10th level of bodhisattvas. That's why could be that why high, but also more for us more important that is the preservation is important. The development and preservation is more detailed that completion stage. That's all. More detail, much more, like the yoga, physical yoga practices, and many things, much more detail.
Rinpoche, will I be able to practice all of the preliminaries in one session, or do I have to work through each one up to 100,000 times before I can start the next one?
That I give everybody choice, whatever they feel like. But if it's completely new, you have to go one by one because I can't teach one day. So I have to teach one by one. So the new people have to go that way. But the already people knowing ones, already used to practice preliminaries, if they read enough to know confidence how to practice everything, then you can do all together, keep going.
Okay, if anyone else has any questions, you can go ahead and put them into the Q&A. We've had several questions about time zones in the class. Rinpoche is going to teach 2 sessions of the Nondro course. One is better for people in North and South America. The other one is better for people in Australia, Asia, and Europe. And the courses are also broken up into different languages. So there's only one set of certain languages in each time zone. You can check on the website. All of the classes Rinpoche teaches in the Learning Center have all the video recordings put into the course and the audio for you to listen to later. And as to the questions whether all of the translators' audios will be there, we will try to make it 100%, but there are always unforeseen obstacles. So I wish I could guarantee that one, but I can only tell you we will do the absolute best to have all the translations in there if you miss a session. And definitely all of the sessions will be translated live. Rinpoche, do I need a compassionate heart to join the Nondro and to start Kala Chakra?
Compassionate heart.
Yes, do I need to have a compassionate heart to be able to start these practices?
compassion is the essence. So we all need to develop interlimitless. But of course, we can start anytime as much as degree we have. So compassion, remember compassion, the real compassion is I said, the braveness, the courage. So anybody has the courage to take the course, that already you have some compassion already, because you care. Compassion is caring. So you care yourself enough to take the course. So that means definitely you already have some degree of compassion. But how much degree is every individual different, and then how develop fast also, of course, every individual different. But remember, the speed, the most important direction. Remember, just keep that always in your heart. The direction, the most important, not the speed.
Rinpoche, does this course also teach the 3 isolation meditation? Someone's asking if they'll learn the 3 isolations in this course.
No, not later, after empowerment.
There's also a page on the website that explains the order of the preliminaries and the empowerments and how Rinpoche teaches them. I will put the link for that as well in the comments to the video after the session's over.
That's when you need requirements to complete Mundo, to receive the isolation of those.
If you have any other ones that specifically relate to the Nondro, we'll answer them. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up the Q&A. This one's not a complete Nondro one, but it is one that could use some clarity. Rinpoche from a Buddhahood's point of view, is the Jintong and Rangtong, do they realize the state of Buddhahood differently? Do Rangtong view miss out on something in Buddhahood because of a different view?
Rangtong view means as long as you are Rangtong, real Rangtong, then you understand the half very useful way. And then Jintong means the ultimate completion, understanding. But other people can interpret it differently. That's my interpretation. So we one day can talk details about that. So that maybe if you join the Heart Sutra, that time you will know what the difference.
Rinpoche will be giving a teaching on the Heart Sutra from the Jintong point of view on May 9th in honor of Taranatha's Parinirvana. So you can find the information for that on Dzogchen. Okay, and I think the last question we'll do for this is just, what are the requirements to be able to do the 3 isolations?
You need to complete the Ngondo, and then you have to receive the empowerment in June. and then we need one day arrange another empowerment. So then you allot. Many people waiting for that.
Okay, that looks like all of the questions that are specific to this teaching. So we'll wrap up the Q&A session with a dedication. Thank you, Rinpoche, for all the answers. If you have any other questions, you can also email them in if you're thinking of taking the Nondro and something wasn't answered. We'll answer that for you.